Hey guys, welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I will be showing in depth of how to program a fire shield or a Kitty FX-10. Doesn't matter the rebrand. Mine's a General Electric. I have this Kitty one here that doesn't work. That will work too, just as long as it's FX-10. You'll know because it has this design, 10 zones for NACs. This programming should also work on FX-5, FX-3. And I can't remember if they make an FX-3, FX-1. I can't remember if they make an FX-2. But this should work on all other programs. So let's get right into it. You'll first want to start by removing this black cover. If it's not on, then just skip this step. You'll then want to locate in between zone 1 and 2 this jumper right here. So this will usually be off. Keep it off when you want the panel to act normally. But to enter programming, you will take this jumper and put it over the 2 connections. Hit signal, silence, and drill, and this will now be your options. I suggest getting an instruction manual if you don't already. And okay, this first one, find peripherals. I don't know what disable is yet. Find peripherals. You will want to have it go on to trouble and disable. So you will hit signal, silence, and drill until it says trouble and disable. The default is on this one. Find peripherals. Trouble, disable. Mine is set to was XX, now 01. I'm not fully sure how to do it. Might show here. To configure the panel, assign values to the panel program. Options as indicated in table 12. Record your settings on the panel programming worksheet in Appendix B. That's why you should have an instruction manual. Follow the general sequence of steps to restore the panel. 1. Restore the panel to default settings. Passcode, yeah. Detect move, yeah. That's just about that. I'm not sure about the find peripherals. If you have any other idea on how that works, go ahead. Mine's just set to service detector. You can change settings forwards and backwards by pressing these buttons. This one is forwards 1 step. This one is backwards 1 step. This one is forwards 1 step. This one's backwards 1 step. Now, before I go any further, I will have to let you know this. To save any settings, you have to click the reset button. So let's say I change a zone setting, change it to a supervisory. Before switching to program another zone, I must hit this button, or else it will not save your programming. Now, this is where it starts to get different. Low defaults is on disable. So to get back to disable, if you want to change it, hit this button until you go back to disable. Now you can access your defaults. Low defaults, LCD second line. No default will be service detector on. Yes will be ground fault. Ground fault would be this LED. I'm not going to change this setting because I don't want it to load the default settings on my panel. Basically factory what I programmed onto it. The next one is edit passcode, which will be power. So signal silence until it's just the power LED. Doesn't seem like mine has that option. Some will, some won't. Enable password will be power and disable. So power disable. Yeah, mine doesn't have that option either. Some will. The next one is panel OP mode, which will just be supervisory. FACP default is just service detector. FACOM, FACOM is ground fault. Sprinkler supervisory will be ground fault and service detector. Reset / silence inhibit will be supervisory disable. So supervisory disable. Service detector means it is no. That means you will not be able to silence or reset it you will be able to silence or reset it under a minute, as it shows here. If you turn it to on, it will be unsilenceable and unresettable for a whole minute in alarm. AC power delay will change the delay of how long it takes to detect that the AC has failed. I think that's for the zones. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not fully sure. Got all your settings there. The next one is water flow / retard delay, which can be set to 0 seconds, 5 seconds. Yeah, 0 seconds and 5 seconds. The LCD first line is what I showed you before. The next page is lockout, disable lockout. It will be trouble. So go up here, hit either one of these until it's just the trouble LED. Service detector means none. All will be ground fault LED. IDC / NAC, the IDCs and the NACs will be ground fault and service detector. Remote disconnect will be battery trouble. Find peripherals, same one before. RM multi-mode, common alarm is what I have mine set to. I'll let you get a good look at this page in case you don't have it. Same page beside here. Next page is the zone programming. IDC zone types will be trouble, power, disable. So back at the panel here, trouble, not yet, trouble, power, not yet, trouble, power, disable. So this is how you program it. You have to select the zone. For example, I will switch it to zone 10. You see zone 10 is battery trouble, ground fault, and service detector. Battery, ground fault, service detector right here. That zone 10 is set to supervisory. I'll let you get a good look at all the programming options. Okay. IDC class will be trouble and supervisory. So go until it says trouble is supervisory. You see mine is set to service detector, and you can, not sure why that's selected. Trouble supervisory. IDC class, trouble supervisory. Default is class B. You have class A and class B. Service detector. Service detector is the normal one, which I have mine set to, which is class B. Class A will be ground fault, so just the ground fault LED. IDC non-latching will be trouble, supervisory disable. Trouble, trouble supervisory disable. You see on up here I have service detector, which means they're all latching. But down on the supervisory one for the emergency lights, it is set to ground fault. And ground fault is no, not latching. So zone 10 is set to non-latching. As for example, this is what happens with the emergency lights when I disconnect them. Oh yeah, right, I'm in programming, I'll show that later. Anyway, skipping on to that, you got I'll do zone 7 as an example. For programming, you have alarm unverified, which is default, service detector, which I have it set to. You have alarm verified, which is ground fault. You have water flow retard, which is ground fault, and service detector. Water flow, which is just battery trouble. Water flow retard supervisory, which is battery trouble and service detector. Water flow supervisory is battery fault and ground fault. Supervisory is battery fault, ground fault, service detector. Monitor is just annunciator trouble. Remote signal / alarm on is a annunciator trouble and service detector. Remote AC fail is annunciator trouble and ground fault. Cross zoned is annunciator trouble, ground fault, and service detector. On here, IDC digits, all that stuff that I talked about earlier. Continuing of the IDC digits. One more time, I'll hold it here. Back to the panel, you can see that it's starting to beep. Once in a while, after you've just left it alone for a while, it will start to do that. You can also see, well, never mind, I gotta go back until the zones. You can also see while you're programming zones, you can select what NAC you want it to turn on and off. So, for example, zone 1, we'll set all of them off. I think all of them just, except emergency lights, they don't set any off. So you can actually select, say, this is like zone 9 is a supervisory, but I have alarms set up on zone 4 that I want it to set off, like a trouble horn or something. Then I will turn the lights off for NAC 1, NAC 2, and NAC 3, and it will no longer set those NACs off. You can do the same with any other zone. Remember, you must click reset to save. If you do not click reset, as you can see, remember what I did to zone 9 is not there. See, I'll even do this, for example, move NAC 1 and 2, move up to here, doing my stuff with 2, going back to 9, it did not save. On to NAC types. We will now be going to section alarm, supervisory, and disable. Alarm, supervisory, disable. Right now, default for zones and NACs is NAC 1. Right now, you can see it's set to ground fault for garage. On here, there's multiple options. Continuous is service detector. Ground fault. Temporal 3 is ground fault. Genesis default is ground fault and service detector. Genesis AVSIL is battery trouble. Coder is battery trouble and service detector. City tie is battery trouble, ground fault. You also have your selections here. NAC classes,
which is on alarm supervisory and power. Anyways, as you can see here,
NAC 1 is set to ground fault, which is temporal 3. But NAC 2 is set to service detector, which is continuous. And 3 and 4 are just default, which is continuous, because I don't have any special settings for that.
NAC classes, alarm supervisory power.
Alarm supervisory power. Normal is service detector. Remember, selector options.
NAC classes. Class B is just service detector. Class A is ground fault.
As you can see, they're all set to service detector because I kind of want to get the most out of this.
I'll also let you take a look at auto signal silent, which is alarm, basically all the LEDs but trouble.
So you can see there, it's just every LED on the top row but trouble. You can see all of this is off.
Auto silence, 0 minutes is all off, and then you have your minutes there, all your settings.
You can see though mine is not set to auto silence. It needs to be manually silenced and reset.
It also continues on the back a bit, so okay, next option is NAC silenceable, which is alarm and trouble.
Alarm trouble, mine is set to service detector for all of them. Oh, except NAC 3, which I will change that and show you
how to save properly. NAC silenceable, service detector, wait, actually I want it silenceable. Wait, hold on.
Okay, so how to change your settings is select the NAC type and then back, ground fault, reset. It'll tell you by that beep. Oopies, wrong one. Three and 4 are just the same thing. Now if you go back to 2 and 1, it will be the default.
That is end of programming. There's dialer programming, but I don't have a dialer. So if I get a dialer, I will show a video on that.
And of course, the final step, getting out of programming, you will just pull the connector out, and you can see it will do a lamp test and a reset, saving all the settings. Yes, it'll stay on trouble for a bit doing its reset cycle initializing. It will make a quick beep once it's done resetting. And now you can see that's all with the FX-10. The FX-10 / Fire Shield Plus. This programming will work on fire shields, and make sure you put that back there, but not on both of them. This programming will work on FX-10s, 5s, anything lower than that. I'm not sure if it will work on like your FX 64s or whatever they're called. But that's the simple programming. Oh, and don't forget to pick up your shields. These tabs go at the top here, on top of there, and you just and now it's ready for anything that it needs to be ready for. Thank you guys for watching this video. I will surely make videos in the future about this. And see you next time. Peace.